What's up, YouTube? Haven't posted on here in a while, but I'm working on my 1995 ZX7 doing a valve adjustment. These are actually pretty easy. I don't know if you've ever done a valve adjustment on anything. If you haven't, not all of them are like this, but the 91 through 95 are like this. So you actually have to make sure the cam lobe is all the way at the top, and you've got the rocker arm, which is right here. And cam lobe obviously rides on it, pushes down the valve, pushes back up. So these don't have the buckets like a 96 does. And these are the buckets like 96 through 03 do. And most cars would have those. They might be called a little something different, but whatever. So, basically I've already taken this one out. I've checked it with my feeler gauge. It's out of adjustment. Taken it out, put another shim back in it. And I'm fixing to check the adjustment, check the measurement again and make sure it's in tolerance. If it is, then I'll go to the next one, which is over here. And I will show you a little bit more in depth on that one. 1 second. All right, so I've got my paper over here. I'm working on the second cylinder on this side of the valve. It's 0.15 millimeters so far. It needs to be, I believe, 20 millimeters to 30 millimeters is tolerance. There's a couple of race specs out there that make it show it to be a little tighter, but this is just going off the factory specs. So obviously it's right 15 or 13. So the current shims in it is a 2.75 millimeter. I'm going to go to a 2.65, which I have my little shim kit over here that luckily I had many heads to take the shims out of, and I'm gonna go 265. So I come over here and you can see, I'm going to try to do it with one hand, since I don't have one hand to do it with. You take the rocker arm, you slide it over and you push it down, and now it is beside the valve. And you can get to the shim with a small magnet like so, and you will go in there, pull it off the top of the valve, and boom, my shim. I know I've already checked it and it says 275, but I always get my calipers out just to check, and I have no way of doing this with one hand. I'm also filming my phone, so this isn't going to happen very well, but we're going to give it a shot. Go over here. I always like to grab it up top. Oh, my bad. Where the shim is at, kind of higher up, because at the bottom these are Harbor Freight calipers and they tend to bend, so you can get a little different reading. But they're 275 like I measured before, and I just drop it in my 275 bin. I'm going to pull out a 265. This is weird doing off a phone, looking through a phone. I don't always measure these because I know I've measured them and put them in there. So I'm just going to get my curved little needle nose, grab it like this, pick it up, and I drop it in there. And once it's kind of in there, I tap it in place. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it with one hand. So I will be back to show you a finished product. Get that to focus. All right, I got the shim back in there and the rocker arm back over. I always grab my feeler gauge, and this is 20 millimeters. And you always check it between the shim and the bottom of the rocker arm. And it slides in. Little resistance is fine. Too much, obviously go to the next bigger size. And if it doesn't fit at all, obviously go to the next smaller size. So that one being tolerance at 20 millimeters, which is also the same one as the second exhaust valve. This is kind of a crude, obviously, illustration, but it works for me, and whatever works for you is best. There's no sense in trying to copy somebody else's work, unless it works for you, and they obviously say you can. But it works for me, and I will get this finished up and come back to you. The reason why I'm doing this is because I had really low compression on all three, probably right at 90 psi each. So hopefully it bumps up a little bit. They're probably just stuck open because I know they were all about 10 millimeters out, not 10 millimeters, 0.10 millimeters. I guess that's the 10th millimeter. Heck, who knows? Out of adjustment. So I'm assuming they were open a little bit and they're letting some compression out the exhaust. I did run before the valve adjustment, but it took a while to start. Unless it was warm, then it will start right up, which is an indicator of it being the valve adjustment. So you can kind of see on my ZX7 parts over here. I got a tank and some rims, pan around here, freaking forks and swing arm, carburetor parts. I mean, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 complete bottom ends. Okay, take that back. Cases, bottom end cases. No cranks. So I've got 2 cranks. One is from a 95 or 91 through 95, and I think the other one's a P model, which is 93 through 03, 96 through 03. Not bad. More ZX7 parts, carburetor boots that go inside the airbox, and coils and brackets. 1 second, sorry, this piece of junk. I never figured out how to edit videos. Hopefully these will all be together. But before that fell last time, coils, brackets, plugs and plug boots and plug wires. It's always best if you're going to be building a bike to have many spares. So I mean, there's parts in here, parts in that bin. I mean, I got parts everywhere. I got parts in this outside cabinet. There's a head, and those cylinders, and there's a crank in there. I've got parts everywhere. But it's always handy to keep extra parts around. But luckily, another thing is to have a completely parts bike. That's a 91. This is a 95. The 95 will be sold because 95 in my eyes looks a little better than the weird front end of the 95. It also helps to have a crap ton of bolts and nuts and washers, especially metric, because Home Depot doesn't have a whole lot of metric bolts. Swing on around here. This is a Muzzy header for the ZX7, of course. There's a clutch. They got some transmissions down there, cams. I think that's a fuel filter. I'm not 100% sure. Muzzy slip on over there to put on here. Brake rotors and airbox for the 95. There's the airbox for the 93, and that is a lithium battery for the 95. Sorry, that's for the 95, 91 airbox. That is for the 91. It's a lithium battery, super light, ridiculously light. Let's bring in this little parts box. This is a piston for the L model, which is the 93 through 95, which I'm sure they'll probably fit the 91 through 95, seeing as the heads will swap and just about everything else. Only little differences. Rims and axles and sprockets and everything. There's rims up there. Vinegar, in case you're wondering, it takes rust out very well inside of a rusty tank. And I've got subframes and seats and gaskets, brakes, all kinds of stuff around here. More parts in this bin too. There's just parts everywhere. Alternators, stupid EGR stuff that everybody takes off unless you want a completely original ZX7, which not a whole lot to do, but some people do. That is about it for today. I'm going to continue to work on this, and then if I get it running, I'll probably bring y'all back and let you hear it run. Runs pretty good. It even ran pretty good with the valve adjustment being out of adjustment, or the valves being out of adjustment. So we will bring you back once I get it back running.